You might think you're standing on solid ground, but in reality, you're standing on a sleeping monster. California is a place where deserts sing loudly at night and colossal trees have silently watched humanity for thousands of years. This land twists itself into the wildest extremes imaginable, snow-capped peaks that scrape the skyline just a few miles from deadly abyssal depths. Hold on tight, because we're about to peel back 50 facts that prove California is wilder and more dangerous than any movie you've ever seen. Fact 50. The state of extremes. California is the only state in America where the highest and lowest points in the entire country sit so close together. Mount Whitney rises 14,505 feet into the sky, while Badwater Basin in Death Valley sinks 282 feet below sea level. What's incredible is that they're only about 85 miles apart. In just one short drive, you can travel from scorching desert heat to snow-covered alpine peaks. No other state packs this kind of dramatic elevation change into such a small space. Fact 49. A living skyscraper. Deep in Sequoia National Park stands General Sherman, the largest living organism on Earth by volume. This giant tree isn't the tallest, but it's so massive that its trunk alone contains enough wood to build thousands of houses. Scientists estimate it weighs over 2.7 million pounds. Standing beside it feels less like visiting a tree and more like standing next to a living building that has quietly grown for over 2,000 years. Fact 48. The secret giant. California is also home to Hyperion, the tallest tree ever measured on Earth. It rises over 380 feet tall, taller than the Statue of Liberty. To protect it from vandalism and overcrowding, park officials keep its exact location a secret. Only a handful of researchers have ever stood beneath it. Hyperion reminds us that some of nature's greatest wonders are best protected by staying hidden. Fact 47. A lake older than civilization. Mono Lake, located east of the Sierra Nevada, is one of the oldest lakes in North America, at least 760,000 years old. It was already ancient when humans were still living in caves. Because the lake has no outlet, minerals built up over time, making the water extremely salty. Strange limestone towers called tufa rise from the lake, giving it an almost alien appearance. Fact 46. The giant drain. At Lake Berryessa in Northern California, there's a massive concrete hole known as the Glory Hole. When water levels rise, this giant funnel drains excess water into an underground tunnel. It's 72 feet wide and drops straight down like something from a science fiction movie. Despite its frightening look, it's an engineering marvel designed to protect nearby communities from flooding. Fact 45. The sinking heart of California. The fertile San Joaquin Valley feeds millions of people, but it's slowly sinking. Decades of pumping groundwater for farming have caused parts of the valley to sink by nearly 30 feet. Roads, canals, and bridges have cracked as the land beneath them collapsed. It's one of the clearest examples of how human activity can permanently reshape the land beneath our feet. Fact 44. When rain fell at 120 degrees. In 2018, California recorded the hottest rain ever measured on Earth. In the desert town of Imperial, rain fell while the air temperature was nearly 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Most of the rain evaporated before it even hit the ground. It's a reminder that California's climate extremes don't just break records, they redefine them. Fact 43. Two cities slowly colliding. Los Angeles and San Francisco are not standing still. Due to the San Andreas Fault, Los Angeles is slowly moving north towards San Francisco at about 2 inches per year. In millions of years, the two cities could become neighbors. It's one of the rare places on Earth where you can actually measure cities drifting across the planet. Fact 42. Fire that behaved like a tornado. During the 2018 car fire, something terrifying happened. A massive fire tornado formed, with winds over 140 miles per hour, strong enough to rip trees from the ground. This wasn't science fiction. It was a real weather event caused by extreme heat and wind, showing how wildfires in California can create their own dangerous storms. Fact 41. 300 towns that time forgot. Scattered across California are more than 300 ghost towns, many left behind after the gold rush. When the gold ran out, people simply packed up and left. Today, these empty towns sit frozen in time, slowly returning to the desert and mountains. They're quiet reminders that California's geography once shaped not just the land, but entire lives. And as extreme as California's land can be above ground, some of its strangest stories begin, where the desert meets the mountains, and where water completely rewrote the land. Fact 40. When sand sings. In the heart of the Mojave Desert, the Kelso sand dunes do something almost magical. When the sand is dry and slides down the dunes, it produces a deep humming sound, almost like a distant drum or low music. Scientists call this singing sand, and it only happens in a few places on Earth. For those who hear it, it feels as if the desert itself is alive and breathing. Fact 39. A city that stretched for the sea. Los Angeles didn't always have a harbor, so in the early 1900s, the city annexed a long, narrow strip of land, now called the Harbor Gateway, to connect itself to the Pacific Ocean. This thin corridor allowed Los Angeles to control the port of Los Angeles, now one of the busiest ports in the world. Geography didn't just shape the city reshaped geography. Fact 38, a lake deeper than a skyscraper. Lake Tahoe is the deepest lake in California, plunging 1,645 feet below the surface. That's deep enough to completely submerge the Empire State Building. The lake is so clear and cold that sunlight can penetrate more than 100 feet down. Standing at its edge, it's hard to believe you're looking into one of North America's deepest natural lakes. Fact 37. Enough water to flood a state. Lake Tahoe doesn't just go deep, it holds an incredible amount of water. If all the water in the lake was spread evenly across California, the entire state would be covered by about 14 inches of water. That single lake contains more water than many entire river systems. It's a powerful reminder of how much fresh water is quietly stored in the mountains. Fact 36. California's Forgotten Sea. In the winter of 1862, California experienced relentless rain for 45 straight days. Rivers overflowed, and the Central Valley turned into a massive inland sea nearly 300 miles long. The state capital flooded, and government leaders had to row boats through the streets of Sacramento. It was one of the worst natural disasters in US history, yet few people remember it today. Fact 35. The stones that walk. At Racetrack Playa in Death Valley, large rocks leave long trails across the dry lake bed, as if they've moved on their own. For decades, this mystery baffled scientists. The answer turned out to be thin sheets of ice, wind, and shallow water working together. Slowly, silently, the stones slide, leaving behind tracks that look almost supernatural. Fact 34. A supervolcano under your feet. Near Mammoth Lakes lies the Long Valley Caldera, the remains of a massive supervolcano. Its eruption 760,000 years ago was one of the largest in Earth's history. Today, the area still shows signs of activity, earthquakes, hot springs, and rising ground. It's not erupting, but it's far from dead. Fact 33. The Wandering Mud Monster. In Southern California near the Salton Sea, a strange mud geyser slowly creeps across the land. Known as Kneeland Geyser, it moves just a few inches each year, but that's enough to damage roads and rail lines. Unlike traditional geysers, it doesn't erupt, it oozes. It's one of the oddest geological features in the state. Fact 32. An Ice Age museum beneath Los Angeles. Right in the middle of Los Angeles lie the La Brea tar pits. Sticky asphalt has trapped animals there for over 50,000 years. Scientists have recovered hundreds of thousands of fossils, including mammoths and saber-toothed cats. Few cities in the world sit atop such a rich window into the Ice Age. Fact 31. Trees that hold hands. Redwood and sequoia trees have surprisingly shallow roots, often only 6 to 12 feet deep. Yet they grow taller than any other trees on Earth. Their secret is cooperation. Their roots spread wide and intertwine with neighboring trees. Instead of standing alone, these giants hold each other up. From ancient deserts and restless volcanoes, we now move toward the living edge of California, where land meets ocean, and geography creates life found nowhere else on Earth. Fact 30. Pink water by the bay. Around San Francisco Bay, some salt ponds glow bright pink and red. This isn't pollution, it's life. Tiny algae and salt-loving bacteria thrive in the salty water, producing pigments that change color depending on sunlight and salt levels. From the air, these ponds look like abstract paintings. They're a reminder that even the smallest organisms can reshape entire landscapes. Fact 29. Bison from a movie set. On Santa Catalina Island, just 22 miles off the coast of Los Angeles, lives a herd of American bison. They don't belong there. In 1924, a Hollywood film crew brought 14 bison to the island for a movie. The animals stayed and multiplied. Today, their descendants roam the hills, turning a filming mistake into a lasting ecological curiosity. Fact 28. Rainbows made of moonlight. Yosemite National Park is one of the few places on Earth where you can see a moonbow. Unlike normal rainbows formed by sunlight, moonbows appear at night when a full moon shines through mist from waterfalls. They're faint, silvery, and short-lived. Seeing one feels like witnessing a secret performance by nature. Fact 27. Flamingos in the desert. Today, the Mojave Desert looks dry and lifeless. But millions of years ago, it held large freshwater lakes. Fossils show that ancient flamingos once lived here, feeding in shallow waters. This means parts of today's desert were once rich wetlands. California's landscapes haven't just changed, they've completely transformed. Fact 26. The town that quit America. In 1850, the small mining town of Rough and Ready had a problem with federal taxes on alcohol. So the residents voted to leave the United States. They declared themselves an independent republic. It lasted just 3 months, until July 4th celebrations made them reconsider. It's one of the strangest political footnotes in American geography. Fact 25. The national park capital. California is home to 9 national parks, more than any other state. From deserts to mountains to islands, no other place packs this much natural variety into protected land. These parks weren't created by accident. They were preserved because California's landscapes were considered too valuable to lose. Each park protects a completely different world. Fact 24. 840 miles at the edge of a continent. California's coastline stretches roughly 840 miles along the Pacific Ocean. Along that edge, cold ocean currents, cliffs, beaches, and fog shape the land and climate. This long coastline influences everything from weather patterns to agriculture. It's the reason California can grow both oranges and strawberries within a few hundred miles. Fact 23. The volcano that watches the state. Mount Shasta rises alone in Northern California, towering over the surrounding land. It's the largest volcano in the Cascade Range by volume. Glaciers cling to its slopes, feeding rivers that support farms and towns far away. Though quiet today, Mount Shasta is still active and carefully monitored by scientists. Fact 22. The hottest place on Earth. Death Valley holds the record for the highest air temperature ever measured on Earth, 134 degrees Fahrenheit. At Furnace Creek, summer heat can feel unbearable. Yet life still survives here. Plants bloom briefly after rain, and animals hide underground. Even in the harshest conditions, nature finds a way. Fact 21. When California froze. While famous for sunshine, California has also experienced extreme cold. In 1937, the town of Boca recorded 42 degrees Celsius, the coldest temperature in state history. Mountains, elevation, and inland valleys can trap cold air just as easily as heat. California isn't one climate, it's many. And if California's living landscape surprised, you'd pump that you could wait until you see what happens when humans try to control water. Fact 20. A sea that shouldn't exist. The Salton Sea is the largest inland lake in California, but it was never supposed to be there. In 1905, engineers tried to divert water from the Colorado River to irrigate farmland. The project failed for nearly 2 years. The river pussy that was born by accident. Today, the Salton Sea still exists, salty, shrinking, and controversial. It's a reminder that geography can change overnight when humans make mistakes. Fact 19. A lake born from disaster. The Salton Sea isn't just large, it's young. Compared to most natural lakes, it appeared almost instantly. Fish were introduced. Birds arrived by the millions. For decades, it became a resort destination. But without natural outflow, salt and pollution built up. What began as an engineering failure turned into one of California's most complex environmental challenges. Fact 18. The highest road you can drive. Tioga Pass Road crosses the Sierra Nevada at nearly 10,000 feet above sea level. It's the highest paved mountain pass in California. For much of the year, snow makes it impassable. When it opens, drivers cross landscapes carved by glaciers, granite domes, alpine lakes, and thin air. It's not just a road. It's a seasonal gateway into another world. Fact 17. California's biggest man-made lake. Shasta Reservoir is the largest artificial lake in California. It was created by Shasta Dam during World War II. The dam stores water, controls floods, and generates power. But it also submerged towns, forests, and Native American sites beneath its waters. Under the lake's calm surface lies a flooded history few people ever see. Fact 16. The tallest dam in America. Oroville Dam is the tallest dam in the United States. It rises 770 feet above the river below. In 2017, heavy rains damaged its spillway, forcing nearly 200,000 people to evacuate. The incident showed how even massive infrastructure can be vulnerable. California's geography demands constant vigilance, especially when water is involved. Fact 15. The longest highway inside one state. Interstate 5 runs more than 790 miles entirely within California. It connects the Mexican border to Oregon. Along the way, it passes farmland, mountains, cities, and deserts. Few highways reveal California's geographic diversity so clearly. Driving I-5 is like watching the state change chapter by chapter. Fact 14. A waterfall taller than skyscrapers. Yosemite Falls is the tallest waterfall in North America. From top to bottom, it drops over 2,400 feet. In spring, snowmelt turns it into a roaring white ribbon. By late summer, it can shrink to a thin trickle or disappear entirely. Its changing flow reflects California's dependence on seasonal water. Fact 13. A tree older than civilization. High in the White Mountains grows Methuselah, a bristlecone pine nearly 4,800 years old. It sprouted before the pyramids were built. Its location is kept secret to protect it. Twisted, scarred, and slow-growing, the tree survives in harsh conditions that kill competitors. Sometimes, the hardest places preserve life the longest. Fact 12. Where rivers meet the sea. The San Francisco Bay Delta is the largest estuary on the US West Coast. Fresh water from rivers mixes with ocean tides here. This system supplies drinking water to millions and irrigates farmland hundreds of miles away. It's also fragile, threatened by rising seas and earthquakes. California's future depends heavily on this watery crossroads. Fact 11. Islands frozen in time. The Channel Islands sit just off California's coast, but feel like another era. Over 150 species found their exist nowhere else on Earth. Because the islands were isolated, plants and animals evolved independently. Some grew smaller. Others lost defenses. They're living laboratories of evolution, protected by distance and the sea. And now, after water, roads, and ancient life, we turn to the forces that shape California itself: heat, climate, and power. Fact 10. The most polluted dust storm in America. Owens Lake was once a vast freshwater lake east of the Sierra Nevada. In the early 1900s, Los Angeles diverted its water through aqueducts. the lake dried up. What remained was toxic dust, so severe it became the largest source of dust pollution in the United States. Winds carried arsenic and heavy metals across the region. It's a powerful reminder. Geography doesn't forgive easily when pushed too far. Fact 9. Where California's climate secretly changes, Point Conception is not just a cape, it's a climate boundary. North of it, cold currents bring fog and cool air. South of it, the coast feels almost Mediterranean. This invisible line explains why palm trees thrive in Los Angeles, while cliffs and mist dominate just a few hours north. Few places mark such a dramatic climate shift so sharply. Fact 8. The highest large lake in North America. Lake Tahoe sits over 6,200 feet above sea level. It's the highest large alpine lake on the continent. Despite its size, Tahoe's water is incredibly clear, some days visible more than 70 feet down. Snowmelt feeds it slowly, drop by drop. It's a lake that feels suspended between earth and sky. Fact 7. A young volcano hiding in plain sight. The Salton Buttes look like low hills near the Salton Sea. But they're actually volcanoes. Geologists believe they last erupted only a few thousand years ago, very recent in geological time. Heat beneath them is still intense. California's landscape may look calm, but parts of it are still very much alive. Fact 6. The driest place in North America. Death Valley receives less than 2 inches of rain per year. Some years, none at all. Surrounded by mountains, storms lose their moisture before reaching the valley floor. The result is extreme dry sand, extreme heat. Yet life survives here. Small plants bloom briefly after rare rains, then vanish again. Even the harshest geography adapts. Fact 5. A state divided 58 ways. California has 58 counties, more than any other US state. Some counties are larger than entire states. Others are densely packed with millions of people. This patchwork reflects California's geography, mountains, valleys, coasts, and deserts all demanding different forms of governance. It's one state, but many Californias. Fact 4. A mountain with more ice than any other. Mount Shasta has 7 glaciers, more than any other mountain in California. Despite warming trends, its high elevation and shape traps snow and ice. The mountain feeds rivers year-round. For centuries, native tribes considered Shasta sacred, a place of power and creation. Even today, it dominates both landscape and imagination. Fact 3. The animal that never came back. The California grizzly bear once roamed the state freely. It appeared on flags, coins, and seals. By 1924, the last known grizzly was killed. Habitat loss and hunting erased it completely. The bear remains a symbol, but only as memory. A reminder that geography and wildlife are not permanent. Fact 2. Forests older than nations. Redwood and sequoia forests are recognized as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Some trees were alive when Rome was still a republic. They've survived fires, floods, and ice ages. These forests don't just grow tall, they grow time. Walking among them feels less like a hike and more like a visit to deep history. Fact 1. California, America's earthquake laboratory. California sits on one of the most complex earthquake systems in the United States. Scientists have identified more than 500 active faults across the state, and the famous San Andreas Fault is only one piece of a much larger puzzle. Because of this dense network underground, California experiences small earthquakes almost every day. That constant movement is why researchers often call California America's natural earthquake laboratory, a place where the earth is always quietly shifting beneath our feet. When people think of California, they often picture beaches, movies, and highways. But beneath the postcards lies something far more remarkable. This is a land shaped by fire, water, time, and chance. Where ancient trees outlive empires, deserts sit beside glaciers, and the ground itself is still slowly moving. California's geography isn't just scenery, It's a living story, written over millions of years. And once you see it this way, California stops feeling like a state and starts feeling like an entire world of its own.